It's the 8th of March 2015. We're in Weymouth diving with Skin Deep divers, and we're going to dive the M2. That is, if everyone can get over the seasickness. This is a picture of the M2. She was the world's first submarine aircraft carrier fitted with a catapult. Skin Deep dropped the shot line on the catapult. I started at the catapult and made my way to the bows. It's a pneumatic catapult. This, I think, is the entrance to the forward torpedo room where you can load torpedoes. And then we have a few holes in the hull, or the outer hull. Yeah, apparently it was full of congers, but I didn't see any. The M2 was originally one of the order for the notoriously unreliable K-class. Here's one beached. It has the same sharp bows, which I'm just making my way towards. Now at the bows, drop down, have a look at the torpedo tubes. It had 4 torpedo tubes at the front, 18-inch rather than the usual 21-inch. This is where the outer doors would originally have been, and as we rise you can just see one of the inner doors. There it is. I made my way back to the catapult. You can see a big pneumatic cylinder underneath it. Well, maybe that's a piston. And this is the catapult in use, something I've nicked from Movietone News. Just moved over onto the decking to the left of the catapult, and you can begin to see the conning tower / hangar coming out of the gloom. The hangar was full of silt, so I ignored that and went above it to the conning tower itself. Nice view of it, and here's a view from Movietone News of it in use. Very large structure, the conning tower, and of course some pretty impressive periscopes. This is a picture of the captain of the ship a year before it sank, and this is a nice general view of the top of the conning tower. Although it wasn't lost in a war, the M2 is classed as a war grave, so you're allowed to dive it, but you're not allowed to enter it, and you're not allowed to take anything off it. So now I've finished with the conning tower, I'll make my way to the stern. This is immediately behind the conning tower. I think it's an enormous pressure vessel of some kind. Might have something to do with a catapult, although I've also seen it called safety equipment. The M2 did have a gun, and here's a picture of it at the stern, but it would retract, so it wasn't visible all the time, and I think that this thick-walled tube that we see here must be the gun retracted. I've got to admit, I didn't have a close look. It could be a breach. I was heading off to the stern, but then I came across Mike and Jan Vegas, who were enjoying themselves on this dive, particularly Jan. And then a great flock of divers came past, all probably suffering a little bit of seasickness. Going back towards the conning tower now, and there's that pressure vessel or safety equipment again. Like all South Coast wrecks, you get plenty of bib. And now we're beginning to see the conning tower again. We're at the base now. A few dead man's fingers. Drainage holes. We're not going to bother with the conning tower. We're going to nip across to the top of the hangar where there used to be a crane, but apparently it got dredged off or trawled off a few years ago, and it's only got the remnants now. As it comes into view, you can see the gear teeth that allowed it to rotate, and we'll have some old footage of it in use. The ship sank because they were trying to launch an aircraft and they opened the door before it had completely surfaced. Now looking at the underside of the crane as we come back to the hangar. Hopefully the silt will have cleared, but as you can see, not really. That's the little wagon that the plane would originally have sat on, and there's a small conger there. It was possible to enter the hangar even when the submarine was submerged. This is 2 aircrew going up there, and in fact when they discovered the wreck, they discovered the bodies of 2 aircrew in the hangar, suggesting that they'd opened the doors too early. The rest of the crew are still inside the submarine. Just heading back to the shot line along the catapult, and we'll just have a quick bit of movie-tone footage. But the M2 didn't start its life as an aircraft carrier. It was originally constructed as a heavily gunned submarine, 12-inch gun similar to what you fit to a battleship. But after the M1 was sunk and the Washington Naval Treaty, it was converted into a aircraft carrier.